Welcome once again to a new video. This is the second video in the series of married life. So the subject of married life was selected on the popular demand from some of my close friends and you people. So as the subject of married life is too long a subject, so I have cut it into three parts. So first part was liked by you, watched by you. Thank you very much. Really sincere thanks. Now the second part, I was told to hold this second part for quite some time because it is too early to the new channel. But my opinion was that if I have started something, I'll cover the entire thing in one go. Because if we lose the continuity for a particular subject for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, so it is not going to be that effective. With your support and with your support and taking look at the society at present, so I have managed to gather my confidence again and come in front of you with such a sensitive part. I have tried to deal it the most delicate way, but if I hurt somebody's sentiments, I am sorry in advance. So now let us come to the horoscope, please. Now coming to our first example of which is of divorce. Now we have the horoscope of a male and a female native, and as you can see, this is the horoscope of a male native. Now the things which are to be noted at this point of time is that this is a Capricorn ascendant with and Lord of the Capricorn is Saturn. Saturn is aspecting this Lagna, and it is a retrograde planet. Planets are really very strong. So this native must be very headstrong, very stubborn, if I would say. Secondly, the Lord of the 7th house, Moon, which has already gone to the 8th house. Now, as far as the 8th house is concerned, the 8th house is one of the most prime things when we have to discuss about the married life of somebody. So, any combination between 7th house and 8th house is not considered good. In case of female horoscope, if there are more planets in this house, that is simply a problem. Even benefits, there can be a problem. Similar is the case with this native. We will come to that later. So, the 7th lord is afflicted by which placement in the 8th house, and secondly, it is in the excess of Rahu and Ketu. If you had seen my other videos, earlier videos, that was about Lord Krishna's horoscope in which I discussed. So this Chandra Ketu, I told you, it is a Grahan Yoga. This is an yoga of an eclipse. So, and thirdly, the 7th house is not good. The 7th lord is in place and it is badly affected. And third thing is a Karaka for the marriage, which is Venus, which is again retrograde. It is really bad. And another thing is that as you can see, it is in the 8th sign, that is Scorpio. Now, when we are talking of this 8th house of an horoscope, 8th house, 8th Rashi of Scorpio is the 8th house of the universe or the zodiac, we can say. So, by all means, this is not a combination for continued marriage. Now, coming to the female horoscope, now here again you can see the Lagna Lord of this female native is Mars, and which is really sitting strong with full directional strength in the 10th house and is aspecting its Lagna. Again, the Mars is aspecting the Lagna and the Moon also. Moon is also one of the Karaka for one's emotions. So, this native is also very headstrong, must be very headstrong. Secondly, the Lord of the 7th house, which is Venus, has again gone to 8th house, which is a bad house as far as the marriage is concerned. And the third thing, it is already in association with the 8th lord. 8th lord is strong and it is conjuncted with that. Another thing which is to be seen, the Jupiter, which is seen as the Karaka or a significator for female nativity. Jupiter in this case, you see, is in the 6th house. 6th house is again, this is cancellation or divorce or termination of marriage. This is the house for the termination of marriage. And Venus is, Jupiter is again hemmed within Rahu Ketu axis. So, and the aspect of Saturn is also there. So Jupiter in Rahu Ketu axis in 6th house aspected by Saturn, which is a functional malefic and a natural malefic. And you see this horoscope where the 7th house is there. There are planets. There is Ketu here. There is 8th god here. There is a sun which is also a cruel planet. This house is hemmed between the malefics. So it was very difficult for this marriage to continue. And one thing, this was all technical, but one small thing for general public, it is there that if you see this combination of Sun, Mercury, and Venus in any of the house of the horoscope, then it is an alarming sign. It is an alarming sign, and that will spoil your marriage, somebody's married life. So if you have somebody who is practicing Lal Kitab, so there is a remedy for this combination which should be taken care of, which should be done as a precautionary basis. So remedy is a bit tricky but can be done. It is not very difficult sort of a remedy. So this should have been done. Before getting into the marriage, this horoscope got matched from some Guruji. He matched the horoscope, there were 25.5 points out of 36. But the reason which are parallel is that despite the point thing, anything above 18 is taken good or reasonable at least. So 25.5 out of 36 was really very good. There was no mangling dosh in both the horoscopes. The reason was, first reason was this combination, and another reason was that you see the horoscopes of both the natives. They are in the visible half 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 planets in the visible half 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 planets in the visible half. These horoscopes are very good for a profession, but not for married life. Both the natives are extroverts, they are headstrong, they won't listen to anybody else. So in both these natives, they are individually capable of fielding a partner. They should have married to somebody who is a bit reserved, bit emotional, bit sensitive. Then this marriage would have, their marriage would have worked. But matching things like this, a professional marrying to a professional, unless they are very much settled on the mental plane, difficult to handle. So about this marriage, this horoscope came to me in 2006, I think March. In April 2006, they were divorced. The dasha at the time of divorce was, in case of male horoscope, it was Moon, Venus, Saturn. 7th Lord in 8th house. Venus, Karka for marriage. Saturn, which is a separative planet. And in case of female horoscope, it was Venus, Venus, Venus. So, 7th Lord, Karka for marriage in 8th house, handled between malefics, it is gone. So, this is one of the examples. Another thing notable about this example is, in this case, no alimony, in this divorce, no alimony was paid, alimony was not at all. Now coming to the second example, second combination for divorce. So this is a chart of a female native, and a few things I need to tell you before getting into this combination. The seventh house is a house of marriage. 6th house being 12th from 7th house is basically last termination, we can say termination of marriage. 8th house, as we have discussed in our earlier example, is Mangalya Sthan, which is very important in case of female natives especially, and this is the longevity of marriage. Another house which we are going to consider considering shall be the 2nd house, that is house of family. And another house we will consider is 12th house. That is for, you can say, sleep or bed pleasure. Now coming straight to this horoscope once again. Now as we are talking of marriage, let's start with the 7th house first. Lord of the 7th, as similar in case of the earlier example, has gone into 8th. 8th house is retrograde and very strong, which is a malefic. and the sixth house lord moon is again gone to eighth house. This is a Vipreet Raj Yoga, but in case of marriage, it is not to be taken as Vipreet Raj Yoga. It is simply the problem magnifying manifold. And another thing that we have to see that fourth house Lord, because Rahu is sitting here, so Moon is somehow controlled by Rahu also. Rahu is a separative planet, and it is sitting in the sixth house, which is the house of termination of marriage. Now, as you can see, this house is empty, and these two houses have lot of planets in it, and generally they are bad planets. So this house is hemmed between the malefics. Now coming to the Taraka for marriage, that is Venus. Venus is again aspected by 10th aspect from Saturn, which is more of a 12th lord, retrograde, conjuncted with Ketu, malefic planet, aspected by Rahu. So here the Karaka is also gone. Another Karaka for marriage for in case of female native is Jupiter, which is retrograde. So in the just previous episode I told you a yoga which was very good, that Jupiter aspects 7th house. But in this case, this is an exception. I told you that yoga works maybe sometime more than 98%, but this is a rare of the rare circumstances I am discussing with you. I don't want to hide anything from you. So this Jupiter being retrograde is not really good. Its aspect on this house is bad, being a functional malefic. And my first video, maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, it was about wish fulfillment combination. This is here it is, and actually reverse of that. Here the 11th lord is coming in Lagna. So whatever the native wants, he will make sure that he does everything for it. And somehow whatever she did was not good. And another houses which we are going to consider is second, the family house. Here you see that the second house, it is aspected by us first of all by the third aspect of Saturn. So this is the first aspect, bad Saturn, and separative aspect. Second separative aspect you get from a Rahu, ninth aspect. Two separative. Third, Sun, which is another separative planet. Eighth lord, another separative planet. And bad moon, because it is a moon of Amavasya, or no moon, or that is called when you don't have any moon, that is moon is not visible in the sky. Amavas we call it. No moon night we call it. And another, all the malefic aspects in the 7th house, how can this marriage work? Another thing about me is about the sleep or bed pleasure. Now here the Saturn is retrograde with Ketu, Rahu aspect, and aspect of Mars on this house. All malefics are combined here except for that of a Sun. So 5 out of the 4 malefics are working there. So this house is also gone. And 5th, 6th, 7th lord in 8th house. I don't see any scope of marriage continuing in this case. And one thing which I was shocked to see, that this native met me maybe during or after some palmistry class which at that time I was taking. And one thing Mr. Vinyaditya, my teacher, my guru, told me that this left hand is your subconscious mind and right hand is your conscious mind. So subconscious mind, when I saw her left hand, that left hand was perfectly normal hand, so it was not an issue with that. But when I saw the right hand of the native, it was in such a bad state that I was bewildered. What the hell is already has happened with this native? So there was some role of her stubbornness. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets again on the visible side. So this marriage didn't work. And one thing, I don't know this native now, but one thing is for sure, that their second house lord is going to 12th of itself, and Lagna lord going to 12th itself. So due to the circumstances, after say around 15-16 years of study after this incident that happened, So I think this native must have taken some course towards spirituality or meditation. So that thing might work for her. Now coming to the another reason for termination of marriage is when one of the partners dies, death of a partner. So this is the horoscope of a male native. Now coming straight away to the seventh house. Seventh house is blank, but there is Rahu here and Mars here. The house is hemmed between the malefics. Then the aspect of Saturn is there, retrograde Saturn, which is the sixth lord, which is also not good. Secondly, the thing which is to be seen, there are two main what you call in Hindi we call it sambandh, relations. So there is a relation between the eighth lord, which is Jupiter in the fourth house, and fourth lord Mars in the eighth house. This is fourth lord and eighth lord are in a relation. Another thing is sixth lord Saturn, 10th lord Venus. There is a relation between 8th lord and 10th lord. Now this relationship between the 6th lord and the 10th lord has given this native job, in some good, really good job. But from the marriage point of view, the one thing I need to share with you is that simply one negative point doesn't constitute for some acute results. If something is bad, it has to be bad from many angles, not from one. Here, as we have seen, the seventh house is really in a bad shape. Then, normally astrologers talk about Raj Yogas, but this is something which is a Daridra Yoga, which I can. The yoga which is Raj Yoga is very good. The Daridra Yoga is the worst of it. If it is the heaven and it is the zenith, lowest point of where thing could go. And another thing is Mangalik, which we have discussed in our previous video. But in this case, there is a bit of a cancellation because their ninth Rashi or 12th Rashi is here and aspected by Jupiter, but that doesn't work because Jupiter here is not a benefic. Jupiter mainly is an 8th lord, and 8th lord is functionally benefic. And 4th lord going to the 8th house, this relation has ruined this chap emotionally. When he was in a very young age, he got into some love marriage. He got a child from that, and maybe during the childbirth or just after the childbirth, the wife died. As he told me, he had really good relations with his wife. But you see the horoscope there, the Karaka of the marriage, Venus, itself is not very, itself is creating a yoga for the termination of marriage. Then, along with Rahu and in the Rahu Ketu axis, Venus is hemmed. And this Rahu here and Mars here is really bad. And another thing, icing on the cake, we can say there are two malefics which are considered in Western astrology. Normally, I don't see them, but I always take a look at them if possible. Here, both malefics are aspecting Mars. Now, this Mars is really bad. You couldn't save him. The guy tried for the marriage once again, and then that marriage didn't work, and he's into depression as of now. He is totally cut off from another world. From the rest of the world, he's cut off. As we have discussed the three yogas, so the thing is the two were on the divorce and another one is the death of the partner. So these yogas, they are applicable since 3,000-4,000 years, I suppose. So looking into the present day scenario, or even not looking into it, these things, this widowhood and this separation are existent. So now the thing is, the society is particularly a bit open about all these things. Acceptance is more. So I have seen in my life that the people who have separated and still doing some co-parenting, the children are also it is even shift at a mental pain from on the part of children also. But the things are going good rather than not bad. They are going good. And secondly, the issue of that what you call as death of the partner. as I was also in some government job for 20 years. So during my 20 years of career there, I have seen a few of my colleagues also not surviving. That was a sad part, but a bit relief was that the families of those people, sometimes wives and some children, got their career, they got a start, they got their new approach to life. So I hope I have done the justice to the subject. So I shall be eagerly waiting for your feedbacks for this particular episode, especially for those people who are still continuing with me after such a long video. I really owe to their patience, to their open-mindedness. Thank you very much. Gratitude from my heart. Please accept my gratitude and thank you very much. See you next week on the concluding part of this married life first season. Thank you all.